day a legend died, and Formula One was forced to wake up. A crash so sudden, so sad, it froze the world.
Senna! My goodness! From there, I don't know.
But behind the tragedy had secrets that changed the sport forever. That crash, in future, saved the lives of Max Verstappen, Romain Grosjean, Zhou Guanyu, and seven-time world champion Lewis Hamilton. The 1994 Formula One season was meant to be Senna's win. After years of intense rivalry with Alain Prost, the Frenchman who had retired, Senna had moved to Williams, the dominant team. It was supposed to be a dream come true. The greatest driver, the best car. But from the very first race, something felt off. 3 years later, in 1994, everything changed. What was meant to be a dream season for Senna in the best car turned into one of the darkest moments in racing history. And it all started with the new regulations. For 1994 had banned many of the electronic driver features that had made the cars easier to handle active suspension, traction control, ABS. The cars were now pure mechanical monsters, demanding absolute precision and raw skill. For a driver like Senna, this should have been his playground, yet he struggled. The Williams FW16 was unpredictable, particularly on bumpy circuits. Senna himself described it as feeling very unstable. He retired from the first 2 races of the season. The pressure was too much. He arrived at Imola, the 3rd race of the season, desperate for a result, yet uncomfortable. The Imola circuit itself, the Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari, was a beast. Fast, flowing, with hard concrete walls lining many of its corners. It was a circuit that demanded respect, and in 1994, it began to exact a terrible price. On Friday during practice, Senna's young pupil, fellow Brazilian Rubens Barrichello, suffered a horrific crash at the Variante Bassa chicane. His Jordan slammed into the barriers at high speed. Senna was the first on the scene, jumping from his car, fearing the worst. Fortunately, Barrichello survived, injured with a broken nose and arm. Then, Saturday, qualifying. The tension was high. Towards the end of the session, Austrian driver Roland Ratzenberger, driving for the Simtech team, suffered a major front wing failure at the super-fast Villeneuve corner. His car slipped off track at over 190 miles per hour, hitting a concrete wall. The silence that fell over Imola was pin drop. Paramedics worked fastly. Soon the news filtered through. Roland Ratzenberger had given up to his injuries. He was the first F1 driver to die during a race weekend in over 12 years. Senna was very affected. He drove to the crash scene himself, inspecting the damage. His face had grief and sad understanding. He spoke to Professor Sid Watkins, F1's chief medical officer, expressing his fears. His doubts about the safety of the cars and the track. He even considered not racing, but the competitor, the legend, knew he had to. The drivers, led by Senna, the newly re-established Grand Prix Drivers Association president, met that evening, taking pledge to push for greater safety reforms. But for now, the show, as they say, must go on. Sunday, May 1st, 1994. Race day. The sun shone on Imola, but a lot of grief and tension was there. The grandstands were packed, unaware they were about to witness a moment that would forever change their sport. The race started, and immediately, another incident. J.J. Leto blocked the grid, and Pedro Lamy slammed into the back of him. Debris flew into the crowd, injuring several spectators. The safety car was deployed. For 5 laps, the safety car led the pack. The drivers, their tires cooling, followed in formation. Then, at the start of lap 6, the safety car pulled in. The green flags waved. The race was on. Senna, starting from pole position, led the field. Michael Schumacher, his young rival, was close behind. As Senna's Williams roared into the infamous Tamburello corner, a flat-out, high-speed left-hander, something went incredibly wrong. In a second, the Williams FW16 with Ayrton Senna at the wheel turned off the track. It slammed into the concrete wall at an estimated speed of 130 miles per hour. The impact was pure destruction. Debris scattered. The car crumbled. Live television cameras showed the result, a terrible view. Professor Sid Watkins was there within seconds, leading the medical team. He knew, almost immediately, the level of the situation. Senna was unconscious, his head fell on one side. Watkins performed an emergency surgery at the scene. A helicopter landed on the track. Senna was airlifted to Bologna's Maggiore Hospital. The race was red flagged, then eventually restarted. But for millions, the race was over. They waited, prayed, hoped. Later that day, at 6:40 p.m. local time, the news was confirmed. Ayrton Senna da Silva, 34 years old, three-time Formula One world champion, was dead. The cause of death, severe head trauma caused by a piece of the car's suspension piercing his helmet. The news broke Brazil through the entire sporting world. A hero, an icon, had fallen. The legacy was shattered. Formula One was forced to face its darkest day. The day Senna died, Formula One changed forever. It was a brutal outcome. The risks, once accepted as part of the sport, were now intolerable. Something had to be done. Everything had to change. The tragic deaths of Roland Ratzenberger and Ayrton Senna within 24 hours at Imola struck a revolution in Formula One safety. Before 1994, safety improvements were often slowly implemented after major incidents. After Imola, it became immediate, aggressive, and important. The sport's governing body, the FIA, led by its new president Max Mosley, together with Professor Sid Watkins, initiated an important and immediate remodel. The changes came thick and fast, impacting every single point of the sport. The tracks all around the world were immediately modified and remodeled. Tamburello, the corner where Senna crashed, was immediately remodeled. The terrifying flat-out bend was replaced with a slower, chicaned, turned section, forcing cars to slow down significantly. Other high-speed corners at circuits worldwide were similarly modified, often introducing gravel traps or increasing area with sand and gravel to replace concrete walls. This shift in track design was super useful. The development of track barriers was continued, including flexible Tech Pro barriers and advanced tire walls, which absorb energy more effectively than older concrete walls. After that, the Formula One car design of that time was also greatly modified. There were higher sidewalls. Now, cockpit sides were raised to provide greater protection for the driver's head and neck in side impacts. The main body of the car was made incredibly solid, designed to absorb massive amounts of energy in a crash, acting as a survival cell for the driver. Carbon fiber compounds became even more advanced, offering incredible strength-to-weight ratios. Deep research went into developing simple front wings and nose cones that would deform and absorb energy, preventing the full force of an impact from reaching the driver. Taken inspiration after Senna's crash, where a wheel striking his helmet was a major issue. Wheels are now connected to the chassis by incredibly strong connections, preventing them from flying off in an accident and becoming dangerous flying objects. Engine sizes were reduced, and later rev limits were introduced to balance speed, reducing the kinetic energy involved in crashes. In simple terms, balancing speed. More simple and larger headrests were applied, along with the use of advanced energy-absorbing materials around the driver's cockpit, further protecting the head and spine. New equipments for the safety of the driver were introduced. HANS device, or head and neck support device, was introduced in 2003. The HANS device is the most major safety equipment for drivers. It connects the driver's helmet to their shoulders, preventing the head from jerking forward in a front impact, immediately reducing the risk of skull fractures and severe neck injuries. It has saved countless lives and careers. For example, Max Verstappen's crash in 2022, helmet technology advanced fastly. They are now constructed from multiple layers of carbon fiber and other advanced materials, with impact tests to prevent extreme forces and danger. Overalls, gloves, and clothes are made from advanced fire-resistant materials like Nomex, protecting drivers from potential fires after a crash. The number and experience of on-site medical personnel, led by the FIA, were increased. Response times are now just seconds. With dedicated medical cars. The journey didn't stop in the 90s. Formula One's commitment to safety became an ongoing, evolving mission. They introduced the most beneficial device in Formula One history, the Halo device, in 2018. The most recent and the most controversial safety device, the Halo, was introduced despite initial resistance from some fans and even drivers. This titanium structure sits above the cockpit, protecting the driver's head from flying debris and impacts from other cars. Its effectiveness has been proven many times, deflecting large objects in crashes that would almost have resulted in severe head injuries. This Halo has definitely been saving a lot of precious lives. In 2021, Max Verstappen collided with Lewis Hamilton at the British Grand Prix, which resulted in a 51G impact. What saved him? The Halo in his Red Bull car, or we wouldn't have seen his dominance in the future. Romain Grosjean's escape from a fiery crash in Bahrain 2020, where the Halo saved his life, made its place as a major safety feature. Our 7-time world champion also owes his life to this device. The Halo safety device directly saved Lewis Hamilton's life during the 2021 Italian Grand Prix when Max Verstappen's car landed on top of his Mercedes, deflecting the tire and protecting Hamilton's head and neck. Hamilton himself said after the incident, "Thank God for the Halo. That ultimately saved me and saved my neck." Another thing was the virtual safety car, or VSC. Introduced to regulate speeds under safety without needing a full safety car deployment, it ensures drivers maintain a specific time, making recovery operations safer. Every circuit on the F1 calendar undergoes continuous inspection and must meet FIA safety standards before a race can be held. You see, from the moment Roland Ratzenberger and Ayrton Senna lost their lives, Formula One understood a truth. Speed and excitement cannot come at the cost of human life. The sport now pushes the boundaries of technology and human performance, while prioritizing driver safety. The ghosts of Imola are always present, a reminder of the price paid, but they also serve as an inspiration, driving the sport to become not just the fastest, but also one of the safest motorsports in the world. So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.